Feel like I'm on a nighttime talk show. Okay, great, thank you. Welcome everybody in person and online. I'm going to call this B County Commissioners Court regular term meeting to order. Today is Monday, March 8th, 2021. It is 9:01 and 9:02 a.m. We are physically located at B County Courthouse and Commissioners Courtroom number 110 at 105 West Corpus Christi Street, Beeville, Texas 78102. That is the call to order. If everybody would please rise and join me in a brief prayer. To the God of your understanding, dear God, thank you for giving us the health that we're all here today, for continuing to provide us with challenges which reveal not only just how much we can withstand, but just how great a community and how unified a community we do live in when we do face these challenges. Dear God, please consider maybe giving us a break, 6 months, 8 months, something like that. That would be nice. But also we'd like you to take care of and keep in your arms the safety of all B County citizens, especially those that are suffering through any type of disease or famine or hardship. And please help us as Commissioners Court and community leaders and employees of B County to consider and understand all points of view as we go about doing what we believe is in the best interest of this county. In Father's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas pledge.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Welcome, everybody. Do we have any visitors on the roll? Any visitors who wish to be identified? Visitors can be county employees. I know we've got a bunch of folks here today, and thank you all for being here. We'll move right on to agenda item number 5, Commissioners Court opening remarks. I don't remember. Commissioner Lenny, you get to go first. Congratulations, sir. All 3 commissioners were pointing at you.
And he's looking at me.
Just 2 of them. I was just looking to see where the arrows were pointed.
There you go. Pretty quiet in the precinct. I did have a call from a lady about some trash issue out on Yar, Blueberry Hill. I went to go out there looking at it, and it is pretty bad. What I'm going to do is this Saturday, I'm going to have a trash pickup. Volunteers come out. What we'll do is meet at the Pantry West there about 9 o'clock in the morning. And I will have bags of gloves, the little grabbers, and water. So anyone interested in helping out with that, they'll be this Saturday. So we're going to go hit Yar, and it's really bad. We got to get that trash picked up. And it's what it is. It's not someone that's dumping like illegally bags of trash. It's stuff that's flying out of the bed of pickups, going out the windows. It's scattered throughout the fence line along the brush, you know. So we're going to hit that. And I know there's a little portion of Lehman as well that was pretty bad. We're going to try to hit that as well. Get that cleaned up.
Excellent, Commissioner. Thank you, sir. Anything further?
That's all.
Just now remove my mask. I have several things.
Yes, sir, you may.
First thing, I want to appreciate what Road and Bridge has been doing through this whole situation with cold and all. They had their personal things they needed to take care of also, but they took care of county business. And speaking of Road and Bridge and county business, the mineral collection station is moving along. Road and Bridge and the appraisal office have gotten together. I think the paperwork has been sent to TCEQ. We're waiting to hear back from them for our final permit. So that is now moved along. We want to appreciate Road and Bridge and the appraisal district for all the extra work they did. And it hasn't been easy, but we've gotten there. Something that we all need to think about. First, let me talk about micro and macro. Macro is the overall picture. Micro is a focus on one little thing. As we look at our electrical bills that are going to be coming in, we're focused on the micro part, on what we're going to have to pay. I have a cousin in Mineral with San Patricia Electric. Their bill is usually around $270. They call, it's going to be around $600 this time. We all know that our bills are going to be impacted But what we haven't thought about is what it's gonna do to government utilities. The county, the city, all the businesses that are out all over Texas, they bought electricity during this. We don't know what our electric bills are gonna be. The county electric bills could be impacted tremendously. We don't know. So be ready. We've gotten some information from our partners that we buy our electricity through, and I'll read some of the things that they've sent us. To reduce the possibility of a concentrated one-time impact, discussions are underway with GLO and Caballo, who we buy our electricity through, to spread the cost increase over the remaining 22 months of the contract. I think we're going to see an impact. Something else they're telling us, and I think the auditor has a copy of this, and the county judge also. We're called P3 members. It's the company that we're with. We should not pay the inflated charges incurred after the time the independent market monitor asserts the prices should have been paid. At this time, we recommend members hold and not pay recent invoices covering the period of weather events. Now, that could change in minutes, but there is a conference call tomorrow at 1:30. I hope they discuss this. We haven't gotten the agenda yet, so we don't know where we are. But think about the micro and the macro impact. It's going to impact all of us individually, but it's going to impact every single business that uses electricity, and it's going to impact the charges they make. It's going to impact the service stations, the refineries, everybody. So this thing's going to ripple along for months because it's several $1 billion that we're charged. Okay, now that I've given you the good news,
That wasn't an I'm done look.
no, it's not. I have several things, Judge.
Yes, sir.
We received some correspondence from Congressman Bella's office. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but according to that office and from what I received, there is stimulus money going to be sent to government entities. How it was determined, I don't know, but the stimulus money that is in the correspondence we got is over $6 million that may be coming to B County. We don't know if it's coming, when it's coming, or what the restrictions might be. But when you're dealing with trillions of dollars in Washington, $6 million is a drop in the bucket. The city of Beeville is listed on there. Everything in Congressman Bella's district is listed. But B County was somewhere over $6 million. That's all we know right now. The other thing I'd like to bring up, this commissioner's court allowed this commissioner to go to the elections office and do a detailed analysis. I went on March the 2nd. The election administrator met me there, or I met her there, if you will. We had a contractor there. Our maintenance supervisor was there. We did a detailed look at the building, some things that we saw. And I know you'll appreciate this when you can be standing in a building and see daylight along the seam where the wall and the floor meet. That's one thing we saw. The contractor saw that. The election administrator pointed it out. The plumbing is in bad shape. Unfortunately, the plumbing runs the long access of the building is under the building, and the building is about 6 inches off the ground. You can't access the plumbing to fix it without taking out the floor. We looked at the floor. We looked at the soft spots. The contractor we had a very powerful flashlight. He looked through the vents around the side of the building. The superstructure under the building looked pretty good. There's large blocks under the large timbers. But when we started talking about what it was going to cost to repair the building, just a guesstimate, it came up to around $200,000. For $500,000, you can build, or $750,000, you can build a brand new building. Instead of patching that, we came up with several scenarios, and I know that our election administrator has some information for us that she would like to give during the public comment section since it didn't make the agenda. And what we're looking at basically is the former jail that the sheriff's office moved out of, not the jail, but the sheriff's office, as a temporary location to move the elections office into, and the emergency management office. Everything is in place. It would be a temporary situation, temporary meaning we're not sure how long, but I think we need to look at getting them out of that building. They're having plumbing problems. The restrooms are not working properly. We think that the pipes have either rusted in two or collapsed. They're either clay tile under the building, it's so old, or they are cast iron. So with that, sir, I will pass to my colleague to the left.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, still working on the, ambulance building that got, flooded in with your evidence to the sheriff's office. And I haven't gotten a complete bid yet, but they should have it by the end of this week. The other thing was, I talked to Ernie Picard, and they knocked just a couple items off the list, not very many, and part of it was due to the cold. So I had, 2 phone meetings with, Ernie Picard on the new jail, and, compliment to Road and Bridge 301, had a couple of calls over there, did a great job with Boomax, cleared the road, so, kudos to your crew. Thank you. And I'll pass it to Commissioner Haggard.
Not a whole lot going on. I did notice this week that, the wind farm is doing their entranceway off of 631 into the Blackjack Creek area. I did follow probably 5 or 6 local dump trucks. They are abiding by the speed limit. I have just asked the sheriff's department if they would kindly just set their radar trailer out there to kind of remind them. They are running their 35, 40 miles an hour, and nobody's in a big rush, unlike the ones I see flying down 181 in front of my house. Those guys, I don't know where they're going, but it don't take them long to get there and get back. So I am going to have a meeting next week, probably Monday, town hall meeting. I'm scheduling one town hall meeting there in Papalote for those residents. Other than that, it's just been, I have the same problem that Commissioner Linney has. I have 2 roads, Corrigan is one of them, and 628 are just littered and it's, again, it's not people just dumping it. It's stuff blowing out of the back of trucks and inadvertently just, I don't need this can, and throw it out the door. So it's not just bags of litter, it's just litter. Working with the JPs to get some help. I want to give kudos to Road and Bridge. I jokingly called Ray the other day, and I thought I saw somebody in Skidmore picking up trash. And when I called Ray, I was making a joke, and it was actually Ray picking up trash with an individual that he got from the workforce. So I did contact one individual that made a comment. He said it's about time. That's what he told me. And Ray and I'll leave that one where it's at. But other than that, it's just been normal phone calls here and there. I understand I need to contact someone else today, so I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just real quick, did you set the Papalote Town Hall meeting already?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I need to set that with the fire department.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And to Commissioner DeWitt's comments, as our liaison for the P3 Power Pool, really appreciate you staying on top of that and bringing that to our attention. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Linney, Saturday, I just want to restate what you said for anybody that may be out there listening. Great opportunity to get involved and help clean up a little part of the county. There is no requirement, I believe Commissioner Linney said this, if he didn't, I will. There's no requirement that you live in the precinct to help clean up the precinct. So countywide, show up 9 a.m. at the Pantry West. Gear is going to be provided. He'll have gloves and trash bags and picker-uppers for those that can't bend down. Anything else on that? Huh?
I'll have water.
We'll have water too. So we'll hope for an overcast 75-degree day, but thanks for putting that on. And of course, Commissioner Fadias, thank you for staying on top of the jail. This is one of those projects that was supposed to be done in the first quarter of 2019 or something like that. The delays are probably my fault. I don't have a lot. It's been a fun couple weeks. I would use this time to say one thing and one thing only. And y'all may be getting a little tired of me saying it, but I want to thank all our county employees, our department heads, our elected officials, that they do face trials and tribulations, and as much as county government is bureaucracy, it is a business too, and the day-to-day affairs of operating the business rest squarely on the shoulders of those that largely go unrecognized. and I'm not recognizing anybody in particular, including every one of us, at all levels, for their dedication and their commitment. It seems that, no matter what gets thrown our way, everybody bands together, focuses on the issue at hand, and finds a way to move forward for all of us as constituents of D County. And so, thank you all. That's not ameliorative. It's not designed to satisfy any issues that y'all may have. Keep bringing them to us, but I recognize it, and I know that my fellow commissioners as well recognize the challenges that y'all face, and we appreciate and thank y'all for your continued efforts. Moving on, agenda item number 6, public comment. I believe we do have at least one public comment. Yes, ma'am, Mrs. Warnix. If you make your way up to the lectern, you may remove your mask if you so desire, and you have the floor.
Good morning, Commissioners and Judge. Laura Warnick, Elections Administrator. I do have some just brief comments in reference to what Commissioner DeWitt introduced to y'all, and I also have a little handout for you.
And I just remind everybody that this isn't a question and answer session, so it's merely a presentation and public comment. Thanks, sir.
After, on Tuesday, as Commissioner DeWitt indicated, we were at my building with a contractor and spent an extensive amount of time there to look over the building, look at some of the issues that we've been having and continue to have and so forth. And just a verbal ballpark figure, we were looking at anywhere between $200,000 to $250,000 to repair the issues that are in the current elections building. And so what I've done is just prepared a proposal for y'all to consider that maybe we can get this on a future agenda item, to possibility of, as Commissioner DeWitt indicated, the temporary use of the administrative side, the administrative offices of the decommissioned jail. That building, I have toured the building, EOC has toured the building, Mr. Willem and Mr. Garza both have gone with me, and we've looked at it. We've looked at the capability of relocating not only my office, but their office in there, and both of us being able to utilize the building. This would be a perfect time for me. I know that their concern is trying to take care of something before the major storm time comes and so forth, but we have extensively looked at that and feel like it's a feasible ideal. It allows space for their operations, that they can utilize those offices back there in the one side of the building, the other I've kind of color-coded it for your review. We know that the jail was decommissioned because it was not in compliance with being a jail anymore. And we're not considering even looking at the use of any of the jail side of it, just the administrative office side. My understanding that this jail was built in approximately 1989, and probably my building is 1950s, early 60s. And those administrative offices are in much better shape than what my current building is. We think with minimal cost, we could both kind of get in that building and be a much better facility. There would be minimal change to meet full ADA requirements. We don't think there's already ramps there. There's already some things that need to be. There's ample parking for both offices that would be available. That's one of the areas that, again, in my office, when we have large elections, the parking is an issue, besides the building construction. Today's introduction of this concept is just for you to have the details that will allow consideration for possible placement on a future agenda. And I appreciate the court's time, and would be happy to answer any other information or questions that the court may have.
Thank you so much for your time, Ms.
You're
Williams. We really appreciate it. Is there anybody else who would like to make a public comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Start cooking with gas. Agenda item number 7. The following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioners' Court has been furnished documentation on each item, and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or county judge.
Move to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I don't have anything unless anybody has any questions.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item discuss and consider action on the following items. Agenda item number 8, Pettus Independent School District Resolution requesting distribution of funds from the Permanent School Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I would like to point out that the amount is $1,970.82 that will be distributed to Pettus ISD.
Is that their full share of this, what they have, what's available?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to, also add that it's to purchase and install benches for seating throughout the school district. So the purpose is there.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 9, Beeville ISD resolution requesting distribution of funds from the Permanent School Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have the amount for BISD, which would be $16,294.78 on approval.
Okay, and to your point, last time, Commissioner DeWitt, Commissioner Haggard, this one says capital improvements is identified by BISD.
Yes.
Okay.
And they do have a quote
I
attached.
didn't quite accurate, that's all
Yes.
right. Excellent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 10, Texas Department of Agriculture, Texans Feeding Texans, Home Delivered Meal Grant Program 2020 affidavit.
Move to approve.
Second.
This is something we are required to participate in each year, Judge.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty much housekeeping. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And-
We have a
and that,
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mrs. Cantu, go ahead.
That amount is, what was paid out in that time period that's stated.
Perfect. Any further discussion? I'm glad that we continue to find a way to provide this, working with community action, so this is awesome.
And from what I understand, these home delivered meals are pretty good, pretty tasty.
Excellent. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 11, B County Winter Weather Emergency Declaration Proclamation.
Move to approve is presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 12, Sheriff's Office new jail water shortage during emergencies. Commissioner DeWitt, I believe this is your item.
Yes, sir. I'll move my man.
You may, sir. Thank you.
Judge, Commissioners, public, what we have, as we all know, we had a emergency and people without water. Here you're looking at the micro and macro again. When you have a jail full of inmates and there's no water, you've got a severe problem. And to be honest, I thought we took care of this when we designed the jail and the sheriff's office. This commission was in on the initial design of the facility, and the water tank that's there, I'm not sure if it's 15 or 20,000 gallon water tank. It was my impression, it was my recommendation that be set up as an emergency water supply for non-potable water for the jail and SO in case of emergencies. And the reason we did that, the old jail was out of water, I'm thinking 3 weeks or 4 weeks, because there were some severe problems with the city water supply. And we ran into that problem. We had porta cans, we had anything you can imagine. They were bringing water from everywhere. And we wanted to be ready in case that happened again. Well, it happened again with this climate emergency, if you will, this cold weather. And we found out that we cannot use that water. And what I would like to do, if the court will allow the motion, is to allow our jail administrator to contact Turner, or not Turner, but Rice Construction, and see what would be necessary to plumb that water for non-potable into the existing jail and SO to use in the next emergency. We know there's going to be another one. We don't know when, It might not be for 6 months or 8 months or 6 years, but it's gonna come again, and we need to be prepared. And if there's concern that the water is not good in that tank, in our state park system, we have similar situations, and a gallon of bleach does wonders in a standing water system. Just plain old bleach that you buy in H-E-B, not concentrated, but regular bleach. And Judge, I would like to make a motion to allow Mr. Page to contact Rice Plumbing and find out, and the reason Rice Plumbing, they did the plumbing for the sheriff's office and jail, so they'd be familiar with all the plumbing and they've got the plans. And see what would be necessary to do that, and they can coordinate with the city and make sure there's no impediments on that end. And that's my motion, sir, to allow Mr. Page to contact Rice Plumbing and do what's necessary to find out if we can do it, and if so, how we do it, and how long it would take.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Farias.
Mr. Page or Mr. Jones, didn't they hook up, some 3-inch or 4-inch connection on the outside of the sheriff's office, they could hook up a water truck in case of an emergency?
I don't know, Commissioner, I'll have to look and find out.
I thought there was a quick connect, like they could.
I know it is for fire, but I don't know if there's anything for potable water or non-potable water.
Because you're right, that was the second thing we asked them to do, like H-E-B does.
Right, they have pull up an 18-wheeler and they can put a hose to the truck and then one to the building. It was before I got elected, but afterwards, I looked at some of the plans and I saw where they could hook up about a 4-inch hose to a tractor trailer and have water. So
I'll find out.
we need to look at that before we.
Let me modify my motion to allow that at the same time, because you're gonna have to contact Rice Plumbing on that one also. And all we're gonna do with Rice Plumbing is ask, no commitments or anything else, and that's what we wanna do, is move forward.
Yeah, I believe your
And I'm
connection,
amending it to allow that also to check on the, connection.
Okay.
Because H-E-B had, I remember we
Right.
talked about it, because H-E-B had done that, just bring a tanker in and hook up and you got water.
I'll amend my second as well.
and I think what you're looking at, if I'm right, Commissioner, that's so the fire truck or a water truck can hook up and run the sprinkler system. So
Correct.
we need to make sure that that's tied separate, because it may be separate to run just the fire suppression system or the sprinkler system.
Or
Don't know.
find out.
But that's the
That's
deal
what
with,
we're
right,
finding
we
out.
need to find the plumbing.
And I'm thinking, and I'm glad Commissioner Fritz, but I'm thinking we specifically did that because we saw what H-E-B did with those 5,000-gallon tankers, stainless steel tankers. They just backed them up to the building, hooked them up, and they were ready to go.
I thought there was a quick.
I know where the fire hydrant one is, but I'll look at it. I'll get with Rice and we'll look for it.
If we can get this through.
Any further discussion?
Well, I just wanted to ask, didn't we place that in the actual with our architect?
We,
Well,
I
that
thought
was
we did.
before I got-
I
that
thought
was-
we
that
did.
was-
No, and that's what I'm asking. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
we need to go back and look at that also
Well,
while we're at that, because if it's already supposed to be there,
right, but
then
Rice,
that's a flaw that it falls back on the architect
Right.
and the builders.
but Rice would, no.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
I'm
to
sorry,
interrupt you,
that's okay.
Commissioner. I think Assistant Chief,
Use it,
Ronnie Jones.
use it, use that tank as the alternate water source was next,
It was cut out of the plans?
get out of the plan.
Thank you.
Okay.
My apologies on completely butchering who you are.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's the mask, it's not my fault.
Chief Deputy.
But, I don't
Somebody's
know
getting pulled
whether-
over today.
You might ought to get another beat. What are you driving today, Judge?
I'm on foot. No, thank you, sir.
But we will look into it and see.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 13, appointment of additional deputy constables in precinct 2. We've been asked to table this agenda item. I'd entertain a motion to table at this time.
Move the table for additional information.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There shouldn't be. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 14, request to retain legal services to negotiate tax abatement with Blackjack Wind Project. Commissioner Haggard, I believe this is your item.
yes, this is mine. It was at the request of the Blackjack Creek Wind Project, they asked me to bring this to their attention. And what I wanted to do was, and I'm fully aware of the freeze, I'm fully aware of the HR, House Representatives bill that's being introduced to the legislature. I'm aware that this may be, I'm gonna use a term from an old commissioner, maybe a moot point before it's over with. But, there again, I talked to them, and Bass and Allison, have negotiated a refurio contract, and several others. Would like to make a motion to retain them. And generally, the wind farms will pay the cost for the negotiation and bring that back to us to see whether A, we want to do it, or B, we don't. And this is my motion is to retain this legal service for some investigative work.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll say that at this stage, retaining outside legal counsel, especially Allison Bass McGee, which are the law firm that work closely with Texas Association of Counties, is a nice, low impact way to proceed with this project. Blackjack so far is restricted to one landowner in far southeastern B County, bleeding over from Refugio County. We've entered into a road use agreement with this entity, and as long as we aren't, and this may be some reticence in the second, as long as there's no commitment that we go through with at this stage that we are voting for, because we are not, to enter into a tax abatement or to not enter into a tax abatement, I'm perfectly comfortable with proceeding to retain counsel, provided that we do have assurances that those legal fees, to the extent it's legally allowable, will be subsidized or paid for by the wind farm company. And I'm pretty confident that the attorneys, Mr. Bass and Mr. Allison, will let us know very quickly if there's any issues with that component of this.
And again, this is just to bring it back to us, whether we go forward or not go forward, and that's mine.
Yeah, and I think it'd be good to kind of know sort of what the options and opportunities are out there, whether they're coming looking for a straight tax abatement, if they're looking to try to implement some other type of program or benefit, to see if it's something that philosophically or from a business perspective or for the future of the county is something that we need to do. But that's just my thoughts. Anybody else have any comments?
Yes, this is a little different than the one that we had in South B County before. That one, I had several calls from farmers and ranchers wanting a yes vote. This one, I've heard from nobody except people that said, I don't want y'all doing that. So I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough.
And I've had about two, three calls also as negative on.
That's good, and that's important to all the people that are out there watching. Well, we are your voice, and if you don't like something that we're considering, or if you want us to consider something that we're not considering, the only way that we're ever going to know is if you actually physically reach out to us. So our telephone numbers are all available online. We do the best that we can with the information that we have, but it is always more productive if we get a better idea of what our citizens are actually interested in. Commissioner Lenny, everybody else is waiting. Do you have any input at all? Don't mean to put you on the spot.
Well,
but I just did.
No, I'm with both Commissioner DeWitt and with Commissioner Frias, that I've had a few people that expressed their negative input on it.
Certainly. Okay, is there any further discussion? With that being said, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No,
Motion does not pass. The vote is 3-2. Moving on. Agenda item number 15, B County Sheriff's Office 2020 Racial Profiling Report. Deputy Franco, you have the floor, sir. You may remove your mask.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, this is just required by T-Cole, who's our licensing, controls our licensing with the state. And we're required to present it to them before the end of February, and then we have to put it for you guys. This is our numbers that we've done for the past year. We had 2,144 traffic stops, which is down from the year before because of COVID. We had stopped making stops due to the COVID outbreak. And The only problem is with my report, I transposed the numbers on the comparative analysis. I sent you guys two reports. The full report that goes to T-Cole and the comparative analysis that goes with that also that they require. I transposed the numbers on the,
What page of your document are you looking at?
I am looking up on the full report 3 of 9. It was rated for ethnicity known prior to the stop. The report reads yes as 1 and no as 2,143. The comparative analysis, I transposed those numbers because it asked in a different order.
Oh, okay.
So that's all that is. It's just a matter of me correcting that, with T-Cole if they require that.
And the correct answer is yes as to 1.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything in particular, any other points or components of this that you think it would be, useful to point out or to highlight for
No,
us?
that's it.
Thank you so much. Is this something we need to approve, or is this for information
Approve for
only?
filing?
Yeah, it's for filing purposes.
Approve for filing. Motion to approve for filing.
I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second from Commissioner Lenny. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
With the correction, of course.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Commissioner, for bringing that last part up. Agenda item number 16, Taylor Power Systems credit application for the Pettus Mud Generator Grant.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Oh,
I have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 17, safekeeping agreement between B County and Spirit of Texas Bank authorizing collateral securities to the Independent Bankers Bank as the new safekeeping custodian bank.
I didn't understand that, Judge.
Well, I'm hoping this is Mrs. Cantu's agenda item. I'll give you the floor to clarify.
Well, this is just another agreement. I know we've had a couple of them come through. The attorneys looked over the last one that came in January, and there was some language that they needed to move around. I have gotten the approval from Mr. Carter, our investment advisor, and he said that it's the same thing. It's just there's a little bit of language difference, and so that's all that is.
And- I was just gonna say, I guess maybe we should take if there's a motion and a second before discussion.
So your recommendation is to approve?
It's to approve,
Move to
uh-huh.
approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second, and I would just say I'm familiar, from my time at First National Bank of the Independent Bankers Bank. This is all a matter, of course, it's a quality institution that they've done business with for a long time.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Sorry that was a little fast on that one, but I heard everybody say aye. Moving on, agenda item number 18, schedule a public hearing date to set 25-mile-per-hour speed limit on 7th Street in Skidmore, Texas. Commissioner Haggard, is this your agenda item?
Well, it's kind of a joint venture
Yes,
between
sir.
myself and Mr. Gonzalez.
Oh, Mr. Gonzalez.
I have a individual there living on this 7th Street who is wanting to have speed limit change, or at least posted in the city of Skidmore, in the town side of Skidmore. So I need to set a public hearing, and I will need to pull up a calendar. First I'll have to find it. Find my calendar.
Commissioner, is there something already posted there?
No,
Nothing.
nothing's posted.
And if it's not posted, it's 50, right?
Right, it's not posted.
I guess we could hold this first one on the 22nd. And we can hold the second one on the 12th of April. Of March 2021, and the 12th of April 2021.
And forgive me for not knowing off the top of my head. I feel like my brain is missing with Mrs. Estrada not being present, although I really. It started out as a deprecating comment to a complimentary comment to an insult. I did not intend it to go go that way. Are we sure that the dates are, is this enough time? That's the only,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay.
And those have to be posted in the local paper.
They'll be posted in the local paper.
Is this something we need to put in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing for March 22nd. I'm sorry. March 22nd and April 12th, 2021, at 9:30
For both?
for both.
I have a motion and a second, seconded by Commissioner Farias. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 19, change in rental rates and policy for Expo Arena horse stall rentals. Wally, please come up. I'm sorry. Mr. Rodriguez is here, our Expo manager.
Good
You have
morning.
the floor, sir. You may remove your mask if you so wish.
Wally Rodriguez, Lee County Expo Center. I do want to thank the court for all of the support that we have gotten, not only in my department, but I think all of our departments as department heads within the county. There was trials and tribulations brought up in the beginning of the meeting, and they certainly have happened, but we've had so much support and resources available to us. All we have to do is ask, and so it's just great to have that, so thank you. Regarding today's agenda item, basically what this is doing for us, guys, is going to give us the ability to work with the auditor's office to create a revenue item, revenue line item to receive revenue for horse stalls. Basically, any sort of revenue that we receive out at the Expo Center does have to have its specific home place, and so we don't have one right now with the auditor's office. So this approval will give us the ability to work with them and receive revenues for individual stalls. Previously, they were available, but they were available with only the rental of the arena and only increments of 10. This is only going to make it more efficient for the renters to be able to rent out 4 stalls if need be and be able to move forward. I do recommend that we move forward with it, considering that the next Commissioner's Court will also have some modifications on pricing in other sectors within the Expo Center. So we'll be following suit right along the way.
So daily rates? Daily rates?
Yes, sir.
What are the rates?
Currently, what we are recommending is going to be $20 per horse stall. Previously, they were available at $150 with an increment of 10. So they were $15 a stall. I do feel like we need to be at $20 per stall. We do have RVs currently available at $25 per RV that does offer electricity and water. My recommendation will be that we go to $35 for those stalls. That will be on the next agenda item, so we don't have to vote on that today, but my recommendation is $20 per horse stall today.
It's my understanding, this is a question, horse stalls are not in the best of shape, right?
They are not. What we've done right now, maintenance has done a really good job of salvaging what we do have available.
Okay.
So with what we had,
There's space for the horses, there's space.
we have not put together anything that they do not feel like was not safe. We are limited to what we have. They don't feel comfortable with giving any more at this point. We do have 9 stalls available that are covered, and 10 that are not covered. So that's what we're able to offer at this point. We do just let the renter know what we have available to offer for them and let them determine whether or not it's something that they want to move forward with.
And there's water provided to each stall?
There is not water provided to each stall. Each stall will only have 4 walls within the stall. That's all that
Okay,
we're
it's just a
providing.
place, that if they want water, they bring a bucket, and if they want feed, they bring their feed. So.
Correct, yeah. There's no additional preparation or any sort of service that we're providing other than the actual placement of the,
Move to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Lenny. It was a close second, but I think he beat you. I'm gonna open it up for discussion, but I'm gonna start the discussion. Is that my, privilege? This was brought to our attention, through Commissioner Lenny, who was working with, Mr. Rodriguez. We had a situation where, due to COVID scheduling and rescheduling needs, and outside of D County, a state rodeo had to be rescheduled out of the facility where they wanted to be at, which is somewhere to the northeast of B County. And the available facility that they found was in San Patricio County, and San Patricio County didn't have the volume of horse stalls and RV hookups available for all of the high school students that were convening around the state or the region to participate in this event, which I believe is this weekend. And so I'd like to recognize and thank both Commissioner Lenny and Mr. Rodriguez for bringing this to our attention and hopefully moving forward as we continue to look at ways that we can make our expo center more user-friendly, more usable for our community and those that are interested in arena-type activities that will have more opportunity and more interest in the future. So thank you both. And now that I've taken all of your thunder, Commissioner Lenny, is there anything you'd like to share?
You pretty much covered it. Thank you.
No, but thank you. This is an excellent job.
I have an additional comment, if you would. I know Commissioner Lenny may or may not be aware, we have a hotel motel tax in B County, and that money is dedicated for the Coliseum, and we've got it pretty much tied up now. But I would recommend that we take a look at that and maybe do some planning to repair or replace some of those stalls, because they've been there a long time, and they're functional, but they need some TLC, and we possibly have money through that. And we're
I
gonna.
do have a wish list regarding these stalls
Okay.
and projects moving forward. I'd actually like to see them maybe even attached to the arena so that it would be a little bit more user-friendly for those people that are leaving them there or utilizing the arena. I think, they invest a lot of money in their animals, and so I think, safety would be, of the utmost importance. I will be honest with you, the covered stalls that we have are actually within a maintenance bay, and so they're gonna be some form of feet away. But that's the safest place that we can have them right now with any sort of covered area.
So just so I'm clear, our motion and our second are merely directing and authorizing Mr. Rodriguez and Mrs. Cantu to get together to assess the rental rates that we currently have for the expo and bring back at a future agenda item, potential revisions to that rate sheet. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, did you get that, Ms. Edmondson? Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to have a small little thing to add, that this Commissioner Lindy and I have along, and I believe that was your brother-in-law that was with you when I was talking to you, McCoy's, or I'm sorry, Sutherland's, and we had a long discussion about that, and he has a lot of plans along with Wally, and so I think that's a great group to put together. He has connections in that field that helps us out. So I think to do this is a great thing to do.
I agree with you as well.
Any movement we can go forward. Commissioner DeWitt and I were, before Commissioner Farias got involved, we had a lot of ideas also thrown out there, and money was the biggest thing. Now I see that things are gonna move in that direction, so we're good.
Well, it's some of the things that we were able to do, and the previous judge too. The floors were totally redone, the interior was redone, repainted, the fence on the outside was in terrible shape, that was redone. There's 100 foot in each direction of wrought iron, and then new cyclone fence wire, that was done by TDTJ through some of this stuff, and we've made a lot of progress.
59 cents.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate the new ideas and the freshness coming in and looking at some other things, so that's great. Some things we haven't been able to get done is a rock facade to the front of the building, but that's all in the plan.
Great. Anything further? Hearing no, oh, go ahead. Nothing?
Thank you.
Hearing nothing, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Agenda item number 20, Affordable Care Act Reporting and Tracking Service 2021 Renewable Confirmation, renewable. Once renewables get on your brain, it's hard to get them off. Try this again. Agenda item number 20, Affordable Care Act Reporting and Tracking Service 2021 Renewal Confirmation Program Agreement. Mrs. Cantu, is this a housekeeping matter or is it substantive? Oh.
HR.
Leo,
You
you have the floor, sir. You may remove your mask. Well done, Mrs. Cantu. Sorry about that.
I'm Castillo, HR. Gentlemen, this is basically, yes, like the judge said, it's housekeeping. We've been doing this since 2010, since the start of the Affordable Care Act. And since the Affordable Care Act is still in place, this tracking has to continue to happen. TAC has, set up a system where they would do that tracking for us since then. And since we are part of TAC, they absorb the cost and all that, and it's a huge time saver for the HR department.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and everybody else seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Agenda item number 21, extending part-time employment of COVID-19 screener staff after March 31, 2021. Mr. Willow, you don't have to, but if.
Mike Willow, COVID coordinator, response person. Um, 3 months ago, we come up with having screeners at various buildings run by the county. We gave it a 3-month time period. Well, at the end of this month, the time is going to expire, and it's coming to the Commissioner's Court to see if we want to continue that, if the need is still there, and if the funding is still there, because the county is actually paying on this. So I'll defer to, questions or whatever they.
I think it's been working really good, and I like the fact that it's there personally. I think ultimately it's going to be a situation where we will need to wind it down, hopefully, as long as the COVID response continues to trend positively. I don't know if a commitment for an additional quarter is something that Commissioner's Court is considering. If there's a commitment for less time than a quarter, then if we went month to month, as long as we were considering it like we are today. And I thank you for bringing this to the court's attention early on in March, because we do have, is it 5 or how many employees do we have?
4.
We have 4 screener employees. They've been with us now for quite some time, and so no matter what the will of the court is moving forward, the most advanced notice that we can give them for their own employment purposes, I know would be much appreciated. It's something that we all, I know, want to do. So thank you, Mr. Willow, and I open the floor.
Where's the money? Where's that coming from?
Well, we have it in our CARES fund that was created at the beginning of this, and everything is still out as far as, well, right now, it hasn't been approved that we continue the reporting, but Grace is still, gathering her information. And I want to say she still is submitting it, but I don't think it's open for this time period yet. That could change, but we don't really have additional funding.
Let me make a recommendation, if you would, and this is out of order and it's out of protocol, but I think if we do number 22 first, it might give us direction on number 21, because number 22 is going to impact what the governor's executive order is as far as wearing masks and all, and that could impact what we do on 21. Just a thought.
Yes, yeah, and really 21, I guess we could consider within 22. We've already, I'm trying to think procedurally the best way to proceed. I just say this, does anybody on Commissioner's Court have any objection to if we
Temporarily table 21 and go to 22?
Yeah, not really tabled, but we're not passing on it. We're just going to recall it. So I'll put it on me. So if we're not allowed to do this, then it's my fault, not anybody else's. I'm going to move our agenda item 21 after agenda item 22. So we're not passing it, we're not tabling it. We're going to consider agenda item number 22 in just a few minutes. And We're gonna set it aside for a moment, and I'm gonna call agenda item number 22. You can stay there if you'd like, Mr. Willow. I'm sure we'd like to hear some of your thoughts on this one too. So does everybody understand what we're doing? Does anybody have any objection? I wanna make sure that at least we're all on the same page. Okay, so we're all in agreement that, I'm going to go ahead now and move to agenda item number 22, address county COVID-19 related orders in light of Executive Order GA 34. As you all are aware, last Wednesday, Governor Abbott issued a new executive order. It is GA 34, and on Wednesday, the governor's statewide mask mandate, which requires masks be worn when you cannot maintain effective social distancing in all aspects countywide, regardless of where you might be located. It is a mandate, a statewide blanket. He has pulled that back. In pulling that back, he has not restricted the ability of private establishments and businesses to continue to require their employees to wear masks and to require their customers to wear masks when entering into their establishments. So they can make reasonable restrictions upon how businesses operate. Upon receipt of that GA 34, I reached out to Texas Association of Counties. I reached out to Jim Allison, who is the attorney that basically answers all these questions for the county judges when they come up. And I said, how does GA 34 impact the counties? We have a mask rule where our employees are required to wear masks if they're inside and they're not in their own office. And then we also, of course, we have other COVID safety protocols in place with respect to restricted entrances and screening. All of those components, all of our reasonable restrictions, according to Mr. Allison and the Texas Association of Counties, are perfectly acceptable as and are perfectly in line with Executive Order GA 34. That if B County had a rule, and we've never had a rule, I don't believe, that said no matter where you are in the county, you have to wear a mask, that is a mask mandate. What we have is a policy intended to protect our employees and the public. And so it's different, and our attorney is advised us that we do fall within that exception, so we can continue on if we so wish, or if we want to take separate action, we can, but we are not required to change any of our current policies or rules, COVID-related rules that are in place as it stands. If there's any questions, I'm happy, but I'm just trying to make sure that I don't, it's not my opinion, it's what Mr. Allison said. So,
now, one thing I'd like to bring up, from what I understand, and I'm not that versed on it, if someone refuses to wear a mask, there's no penalty. And I want to just throw something out. Someone comes in the courthouse and we say, sir, you need to put on a mask. I'm not going to do it. Our bailiff has no authority to put that person outside the courthouse.
no, our bailiff absolutely has authority to remove somebody who refuses to follow our policies because they're not a mandate countywide.
Okay.
We can't violate the governor's order about masks, but as far as our business services and our establishment, the organization of the day-to-day affairs of county government, we absolutely can put in restrictive measures that we have in place for the protection of our employees, our customers. At least that's legal advice from last week.
So what I'm saying is, we're gonna have the bailiff in a situation to remove someone for refusing to put on a mask.
Correct. Same situation that they're in right now.
So, is that a penalty?
No,
Just remove it.
it's not
Just
fine.
removing them from the premises.
Okay, so there's no, removing is not a penalty, so there's no fine, no incarceration or anything like that.
That's
We need to make sure we understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And we've never, I don't
No,
even
we
think
haven't.
we had any.
But the questions are being asked out
It's
there.
very important because
Yes.
you're right. The community is a mask mandate is to most people, if I have to wear a mask anywhere, it's a mask mandate, and that's
And
just nothing.
something else I need to consider, commissioners, is that a few meetings ago, we tightened up our HR policies determination if a person's not wearing a mask inside an office, and we need to think about how this impacts that.
Again, those are our HR policies. We can't be, so as I understand it, as far as our employees go, we can put reasonable measures in place to protect, our employees. In it's paragraph 4 of, GA 3.4.
That's county business, though. That's for protection of the employees and the,
And to be perfectly frank, when I read GA 3.4 and I knew that we had the orders and the procedures that we had in place, my thought process was we have to remove those. I read it and I really was not comfortable with where county government fits in with respect to that. So that's why I reached out to Mr. Allison, and like I say, it was last Wednesday or Thursday, so opinions could have changed, but that's where it stands right now as far as
we're solid.
and it doesn't mean that we don't need to do it.
I understand. The reason I'm bringing all this up, the people I've met with are of the opinion that the individual should be able to make their own decision as to whether they may wear a mask or not. And I told these folks, I said, now, remember, in a business, no shoes, no shirt, no service, that business manager has the authority to say, no, sir, you can't do this, or no, ma'am, you can't do this. But the overwhelming, not 100% of the people that I talked to, and it was at least 20, said we want to be able to make our own decision on that. So that's, I'll just leave it at that.
No, that's fair enough. Any further discussion, Mr. Willow? I kept you up here.
Yes,
Sorry.
just, off the Department of State Health Services report on the 6th of this month, B County has 2,518 confirmed cases that were in B County. Right now, we have 372 active cases. We haven't been reporting these numbers because we've been punching the shots. We want to get the shots. Right now, we have 8 active cases that was reported on the 6th. So we're having 5 to 8 cases, you know, every time this report comes out, and it comes out every day, if not, except the weekends.
How many are in the hospital?
That I don't have that.
That's the key. That's the key.
Well, that is, but I can tell you that, no, I can't tell you that. I need to make sure I get my facts straight.
That's what I want to know.
You know, just, whenever, you know, but anyway, I don't have a good figure for that. But, my opinion, for the safety of the staff, if they deal with public, they need to wear a mask. And
you're talking about public or staff?
both. You know, it's, even though we're getting the shots and even though we feel bulletproof, yeah, I still think, you know, for the sake of for both parties, I think we should keep wearing them.
Get that our guard now.
It's too soon.
It may be a little unorthodox, but if there's any, I know we have some department heads, elected officials, and individuals that are high up in any of our other departments. If y'all have any opinions, I know I'd like to know.
I know personally from my office, if I have, oh, sorry.
First you got.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm not recognizing everybody at once, but no, just please, if you come up to the lectern and identify yourself, and then I apologize for shutting you down like that.
Nicole Gonzalez, B County Clerk. I know personally from my office, if I have any say-so, I would still like my employees and customers to wear masks. We have people, I know it's everywhere, but we do have a lot of researchers that come in from other counties, that are in our vaults. We ask them to distance, but if I have 3 or 4 researchers in there, I mean, I think that they need to have their mouths closed. It's a vault. And then, of course, my employees, a lot of them have families with health conditions, they have health conditions, and I personally would just feel safer if they continue to wear masks.
Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez. Yes, ma'am, Mrs. Warren.
I just wanted to say that I have recently spoken to probably about 10 different business owners, and they tell me they're gonna continue to require for their business.
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna be pretty standard. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Chief Deputy?
The only question I have is, they're talking about there's no repercussion in not wearing the mask. If you go to a business and you don't wear the mask, and they try to get you to leave the business, you remain at the business, that can become a criminal offense. My only question is that can happen here as well.
That's where I'm coming from.
Most of the time, talking to the bailiff, she says they leave, it's not a problem. My only problem is once they refuse to leave, and it would be several pleas, either put on your mask or leave, you're not welcome here. It would eventually, up to them, of course, could become a criminal offense.
I think that's up to them, being the person who's refusing to wear the mask and then refusing to vacate the premises. It's not whether or not.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, thank you.
I think that's what I get from what I hear, not just here, but if you're asked, and they make every opportunity for you to wear it or leave, it's not automatic, put your mask on or I'm gonna arrest you. They just work at it, and if it's no solution, that's the last solution. And they're warned of that. They're warned that that's criminal trespass if you do not adhere to what we're asking you to do. And I think what he states is perfectly clear. And that's any business, any business you go into. I mean, it's their business. And they have the right, no shoes, no service. They have that right. So I feel that this is necessary to keep this order around for right now.
Yes.
I think that's kind of a slippery slope here when you're dealing with private business and public property. This is being a public property. We had that incident with the jail, with that organization, that they instigate these things. So when we have this type of conversation in public, those organizations are funded by people that want to instigate these things as far as rule of law. So now they're gonna, make it a fact and come out here and push the issue that this is a public property and they have the right to be here. So, I mean, I think it's a very fine line when you're talking about private business and public property.
Right, so let me reiterate, thank you, Mr. Oliver. Let me reiterate that I obtained legal advice from our legal advisor who told me that this is not that. And I will not change, I'm not going to make a decision. I don't think anybody else on the Commissioner's Court is going to make a decision based on what an activist group may or may not do. But I recognize that, and I certainly don't want to, we don't want that to be an issue. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all just want to try to carve a path that solves the issue that we're facing, protects our employees, but certainly doesn't create a big constitutional argument on the grounds of the B County Courthouse. Mr. Rodriguez, do you have some input?
I wanted to state that, in my department, it's going to be very common, definitely not unorthodox, that there's going to be a large group of people. And so it's been my recommendation that we follow this order, and I'm able to give them that opportunity to make the decision for themselves and decide how safe that they're going to be. I would hope that, working here, in this public building, that, we have the ability, to be safe, and not only with the mask, but I would hope that if we needed, the support from our local law enforcement, and we feel like they need to be removed for one reason or another, I feel like if somebody needs, not only for a mask, but if somebody come in with a shirt, without a shirt, same thing, I think that we should be able to follow suit in that sense, and still, respect anybody's own personal opinion, so, that's kind of where things kind of change here, and so I just kind of wanted to, just address the fact that we definitely are considering other people's opinions. I respect the fact that if they feel like they are okay with being in a group of 200 people amongst themselves and not wearing a mask, that's one thing, but when they're around me and my county family and deciding my safety, or how safe I'm going to be, I just feel like if our local law enforcement felt like they needed to do something, that we would be able to back them up and support their decision. I feel like we make decisions like that. We're required to make decisions like that, and the county depends on us, the constituents depend on us to make those decisions, and that's pre-COVID and it'll be post-COVID. I think that the fact that we have to consider COVID is just a decision that we have to consider just with these masks, but I would really like them to be able to determine whether or not they feel like they need to make that decision.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Yes, Mrs. Mattis.
I just also have
And I'm sorry, just real quick, let the record reflect that Mrs. Gonzalez, I had you get up to the lectern. I haven't required anybody else, and so I apologize. Mrs. Mattis, you may proceed.
I have a question with that, with the safety, depending on what we decide, especially without someone at my door who choose not to move forward with that. I have already had to call law enforcement to my office for a confrontation with a gentleman who would not wear a mask. It did get out of hand. I did get my face spat in. It was, and I have no security like we do here.
When your office receives more business on a day-to-day than all of us probably combined, and I don't know if we decide from a policy perspective to pull back, does Mrs. Mattis have the ability, if she so wishes, with her department?
If we made a department, option, what would be your recommendation, Ms. Mattis? To do it or not do it?
For the safety
To
of my
require,
employees.
to require a person coming in to have a mask, what is your recommendation?
Well, I would prefer that
No,
they,
your recommendation.
I would recommend that they do wear them, but I can't enforce it. I don't have anyone at my office to enforce that in case something ever came up. So for me, it's more of a safety issue now on, do I want to put my employees at risk because
Challenging.
I don't have that back.
And you've had that happen,
I
and
have.
unfortunately, I know some stories in the community that,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, I have.
people-
They have come up to my face.
But they've also been helped and served, and
And yes.
there's been some banter back and forth, and
Yes.
you just move them on down the
We
road.
always try our hardest to help the customer and to get them what they need, even if they cannot enter my building.
You know, I keep getting back to what I understand in the governor's order, that there can't be a penalty. But if we're physically removing someone from an office, to me, that's a penalty. And like I say, criminal trespass comes in. Yes, ma'am, it is a penalty if you're removed. You've been deprived of your liberty.
No, they
No,
don't. No, they don't.
it's our policy. It's
Our
our,
policy.
it's our,
I do want to say one thing, that our offices, we have invested money in shields, and just in Ms. Mattis's office, she has shields in front of her employees. So,
Yes.
you know, for her to have a customer come in with no mask, it, you know, that's what she's saying. It's like, okay, this is it's not a health and safety issue for her employees, because they're fully protected.
Yes.
And in most of the offices, there are shields that our maintenance staff has invested. I mean, we spent lots of money buying supplies and helping protect our employees. So if somebody walks in without a mask, are the employees really, at what kind of risk are our employees?
Sure.
Compared to Ms. Mattis being spit in the face. I mean, you know, just for saying, no, you can't come into my establishment without a mask, when her employees aren't really at a high risk of getting a virus. So.
Yeah, and, thank you, Mrs. Cantu, and Mr. Willis, just one second. Just to clarify, because maybe we have a semantics, dispute, which has nothing to do with this, that's just what we're talking about. It is a privilege that everybody has to access and utilize county services. It is not a right. Okay? There's a big difference. And that's why people don't come into the courthouse and into the tax office naked, and they don't come in, we can make reasonable restrictions on people because it's a privilege and it's not a right. Like driving on our streets is a privilege, it's not a right. Nobody has an absolute right to drive. And if you lose that privilege, you lose that privilege. But that's just a semantics issue. Substantively, hold on, real quick. Let's knock this down, because I think we're making really good progress. We have issues with, I'm sorry, Mr. Will, I'm still getting back to you, but
No.
I want to break it down. We have masks, we have a current policy that requires any member of the public that enters any of our facilities to wear a mask, right? So that's one component. We have a policy that requires that our employees that are not, that aren't outside and more than 6 feet away from each other or in their own office by themselves wear a mask. And that would mean, for instance, my private office secretary, Dolores, who sits in an open public area, largely private, but it's not a private office. She's always supposed to have her mask on. So that's the second component, employee mask wearing. We also have check-in stations. That's another component of mask wearing. And we also have restrictions on access to the courtroom. We're at 2 doors instead of 4. We also provide restrictions with respect to access of certain departments within the county as it relates to COVID only, right? If COVID wasn't here, the county clerk's office wouldn't have the desk in front of her door. And so I think maybe what we do is first talk about some of the things that may be less divisive. Are there any of those? I've got 4 components. Am I missing any, Mr. Willow? This is where I jump in. Is that it? Is it basically those 4 things?
Yes.
Restrictions that we've allowed departments reasonable ability to dictate their own restrictions on access.
Well, part of the duties of the screeners is to take a temperature and ask the questions if they come in contact. So there's another component in there too.
And the screeners is the other one, and then masks for our employees and masks for the public that wants to come and take advantage of our services. And so I just say, I think that's the world that we need to consider moving forward. And now Commissioner DeWitt, unless you have something else, Mr. Willow, I give the floor back to you.
The thing we need to remember too is that we're an example to the rest of the county. Whatever we do, people are gonna say, this is what the county's done. But I get back to penalty. If my liberty has been stopped or it's gone to the side or I can't do what I want to do, to me, that's a penalty. Now, I realize it's semantics. And if I can't enter the courthouse because I don't want to wear a mask, to me, that's a penalty. I realize it's a privilege to come in the courthouse. It's a privilege to go everywhere. But as a current law enforcement officer, if you slow someone down, you have stopped their forward movement, to me, that is a penalty. That's just semantics, but to me, it's a penalty, sir.
I think that there's penalty here on these grounds because this court has made a ruling or, the rule that we have to wear masks for the protection of our employees and our constituents. We're not slowing their movement down outside, it's slowing them down in a county building, in our setting.
And again, I just reiterate that
It's not a
penalty. It's not a penalty. It's not a fine. And that's what the governor said. You cannot do this anymore. You can't have and we don't even have a mask mandate.
No.
Like, we are not violating, right now, we're not violating the order on Wednesday. If we choose to take no action, we are not violating the order, right? So anything that we do to lessen that, absolutely fine. But it's not a penalty. It's not a fine. But it is what it is, and I respect your opinion.
Yes, sir.
One
Yes,
last
Mr.
thing,
Willow.
and I'll sit down. I lied to you when I said nothing else. But we make choices. We're not stopping the service. They can mail the request in. We have drive-in windows. So we're not prohibiting them from obtaining their services. They make the choice, do they want to come in personally and do it, or do it by mail? Wear the mask or not wear the mask? To me, we're not stopping any services whatsoever.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Willow.
I'm done.
Can I propose something, just maybe a framework? With respect to any of these 4 items, of course, there's no reason why we can't make a decision in some or all of them today. I can put this on our next agenda. We can come back and see, okay, do we want to further scale back restrictions? We can work this any number of different ways that you guys would want. With respect to item number 4, I'd ask everybody if y'all have any, being the commissioners, everybody, if y'all have any input on continuing to allow reasonable restrictions on access, not the check-in station, but for instance, the county clerk's, no public goes into the county clerk's office. The courthouse has 2 closed, yes, ma'am?
Well, researchers, we allow people to come in, especially researchers, but we're trying to limit as many people in the office as once.
Okay.
So that's why, like, birth certificates, marriage license, we deal with in the hallway because they don't need to physically come in.
I'd be interested to hear what everybody's opinions are with respect to continuing that, or not continuing.
Personally, I wish to continue what we're doing right now. I feel that the safety of our employees first, county employees, and then the public, in conjunction, I feel that we need to continue this until we reach the so-called herd immunity. I feel, and I'm fine with that.
Thank you. I'd like to see it continue.
Oh, thank you.
I know, that's why I'm trying to break it down so it's a little easier.
You know what I think I recommend is we continue what we're doing and come back in 2 or 3 weeks and look at it real hard again. And see what is happening and where we are. Yeah, and just because, like I said, the overwhelming, every single person I talked to said, no, don't do it. And like we say, we have to relate what the public has advised us to do, and that's basically what I'm doing here, sir.
No, I appreciate it, and I get it.
We've got to start somewhere. We've got to start now. The governor has jumped out there and given the opportunity for everybody to do this. And if we find out it's detrimental or we could change, but I'm going with what the folks have asked me to say and do.
I appreciate it.
I agree with Commissioner DeWitt. Yeah, we go ahead and continue this for now, but there's a lot of people that disagree and they want the mask, and I understand, but I think there's way more majority that are just fed up with it, and they wish that they could make their own decisions as to whether they want to wear the mask or not. You know, if you're feeling bad, wear the mask. If you're wearing a mask and you don't want to sit next to someone because you don't feel comfortable, don't do this. Like I said, there's majority of people are tired of it, and it's people say, when it's over, when is it going to be over? So we're going to live in fear the rest of our lives, wearing a mask all the time because we might catch COVID, we might catch something else. I don't know, it's like Commissioner DeWitt said, is your wife saying?
Yeah, the pandemic ends when the people decide it's going to end.
And they're sick and tired of it.
Yes, they're tired of it.
I just personally feel there's a majority, by a large amount, majority that are tired of it.
What you have some vocal folks. And I think the majority of the people in this room have probably had their second shot. Unless they've had active COVID, then they have to wait 90 days. But we've got, I know it, we pandemics end when people get tired of it, and they're tired of it.
No, I don't want to interrupt you. My only other issue is also, like, I had 2 girls out at the same time with COVID. I know she had several. It also puts a lot of extra strain on the rest of my staff when we've had people out due to COVID, because they're out for 14 days or more. I have went out for over a month. So you have to look at that aspect too, as far as protecting the employees, because if my whole office gets it and I have to completely shut down, then what am I gonna do?
Thank you, and the court will recognize Mrs. Gonzalez.
Sorry.
It's okay. There is a video, but normally it's all microphone work. Mr. Oliver, yes, sir.
I can go either way. It's whatever our leaders present as the best possible path to go. But I can see it both ways as well. But with constitutional liberties and freedoms, we also have citizen duties that's responsible not only to ourselves, but each other. So what comes down to that is common sense, which a lot of us has refused to practice, but a lot of it is common sense. You know, it's respect and courtesy to each other. You might feel this way, but, and I feel that way, but as a common courtesy to my neighbor or my coworker, I will do what is probably the best path. And that's just part of being, to me, not only a Texan, but an American as well. It's just common courtesy and responsibility.
Judge, I heard a governor in another state, I forget which state, it was an elderly female governor. They took the mask mandate off, and she said, but I will continue to wear mine when I'm out in the public. And that's kind of the way I feel about this. I will continue to wear mine, but I'll make that decision myself.
Should we consider putting together a committee for the component? No, I was just asking about the reasonable restrictions. We got 3 more, but we're because it's hard to separate them all. But to consider for next agenda item, to consider if we don't make any decisions today, a mask for employees, mask for customers. And one thing that one of the comments that just brought up, I'm forgetting another very, very important point, number 5, with respect to policies and procedures that COVID, that we've done specifically for COVID. And Mr. Castillo is not here, but we have a policy right now on leave and sickness with respect to COVID that is way, way broader and way more supportive for taking time and being out than we've ever had before. And that's something else that we're going to have to consider, and that's probably going to be the last one that we would want to consider. It would seem that the most it would seem that the most hot button issue with respect to the county policies is, hey, Mr. Castillo, I was just looping you in.
my name.
He watches in his office.
Yes, sir.
So if you saw, we're just bringing up that we have policies with respect to COVID leave and illness to support immediate family members of the house that are impacted by COVID and quarantine with respect to COVID, that as we roll out of all of these things, that's going to be a substantial impact potentially to county employees in the future that may catch COVID, but it's something that we're going to have to do. So that's all I was saying. That's the 5th one. I wanted to move on to the check-in stations. Unless somebody has a strong opinion, I don't think we have any desire to stop or alter that process right now. With respect to points 1 and 2, masks for our employees and masks for the public. With respect to masks for our employees, I'd be happy to hear if anybody has any opinions. I tend to feel I'm really torn, not only because I'm sitting in between 2 and 2, but I'm really, really torn because I believe the same way that y'all do, and I know that all 5 of us do, that this is largely a matter of respect for those that are around us, not something that we're doing that we think this is somehow magically going to keep us from catching a virus, which is so small that we can't even see it. And anything that's only a part of a DNA strand or an RNA strand, that's pretty dang small. But that one, even if I set it aside or compare it to the policy that the public have to wear a mask when they come in and access it, rather than it's something that they can do if they choose to do. I have fundamental philosophical objections to it as well, and again, I think we all do. I think in the balance we weigh it, and some people lean on the free will side, and some people lean on the more strongly bureaucratic, let us guide you to what we think needs to be done. But I'd be happy to entertain any motions that any commissioners wanted to have with respect to any component of what we've discussed, but specifically I think it would be advantageous for us as a commissioner of court to take some action and give some direction, even if we're going to, put together a small committee of county employees to look at the issue and come back and make recommendations to us, or we're going to take a breather for 2 weeks and come back and see what it looks like, as well. But I think we need to, I think we ought to do something.
Judge, I'll be honest with you, I really like the idea of keeping the station with temperature checks and the person there, even past March 31st, with a strong recommendation from them. If somebody comes without a mask, sir, you need to put on a mask, here's a mask, please put it on. But to say you can't come in here if you don't have a mask, that's where I'm having my problem. I have no problem with keeping the check-in station, I have no problem with the temperature gun. That's gonna tell them right there, if the elevation, if the temperature is there, sir, you can't go in, your temperature is elevated, you have to go, and you need to wear a mask, we strongly recommend, and here's a mask. I know you don't have one, here's a mask. That's where I'm coming from, and I'll make that into a motion. That we keep the, temperature station, that we do not require the mask, we highly recommend the mask, and we have the mask there for the public when they come in. And I'm only talking about the public right now.
Before you make that motion,
Yes, sir.
just let's see what other people.
Okay.
I just don't want to, because
No.
I think,
Fine.
yeah, I think that's a good start. Other discussion, comments, positions?
I'd like to see the check-in stations for another quarter at least.
Yeah.
I mean, 'cause it's not gonna go away in
I
30
have
days
no
or
problem with
60 days,
I
at
really
least
don't.
another quarter, and then we come back to it again in another quarter.
I have no problem.
Let's knock this one out, and I would entertain a motion to extend the COVID-19 check-in stations and the employee components with respect to that for a month, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever the person making the motion would.
I make a motion that we extend the check-in stations for 90 days and revisit.
And that would necessitate extending part-time employment of COVID-19 screener staff from March 31, 2021 to, this is getting
The end of June.
Well.
90 days after March 31,
Yeah.
2021.
I mean, another quarter, you know,
Okay,
if the court wants that, I mean, we can.
June 30th, thank you. Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that particular motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we're not done.
21.
I'm not letting you all out yet. We'll just pass, when we go back to 21, I'll pass 21. That's 22. It's a component. I should have looked at it differently, and I apologize that I didn't. You know, I could have just made that 22, subsume, 21. With respect to, anything else that we've discussed, I believe there may be a component of going from mandatory, requiring the public to wear a mask when they enter one of our county facilities, to highly encouraging them to wear a mask in county facilities. I can see the benefit certainly on an operational standpoint from Mrs. Mattis's office, you know, and even here at the courthouse with respect to, you know, a group decides they want to make this a constitutional issue, that they have the right to show their teeth, then I can see that would reduce and pull that away. But it comes at a potential cost, which is, you know, a potential risk that somebody that might have COVID gets past our check-in station and can expose our check-in employees to, at the tax office, do they have a little plastic partition around?
We do, thank you.
Good job, John White.
Yeah, he got us one, yeah.
So our checkers are, you know, protected to some degree, but does anybody have any opinions with respect to that they want to voice at this point?
Yes, I totally go along with extending checkers. And I'll go back to my motion a while ago. The checkers check the temperature and they say, sir or ma'am, you need to be wearing a mask, we highly recommend it. well, I don't have a mask. Well, we need to have masks there. Here's a mask. And I'll make a motion that, we do not require the public to wear the mask coming into the county facilities, but highly recommend it and have masks available if they don't have them.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? It could be that we're all resolved.
Well,
You're not helping me.
do we have masks available like that to leave at all the stations?
We have plenty of N95 now. Yes.
We already, if, we've had 3 people in the past 2 weeks come in with COVID. We have them wait outside, and I'll go talk to them. That's it, we know it. If they don't have a mask, or they think they don't have a mask, we give them a mask.
Right.
Do they take it?
Yes, they take it, they open it, they throw the trash.
Then they did,
But they do that.
but otherwise, I mean.
But that's until, but right now, we have masks.
But I think that's
guarantee on
probably
how long
because it's
they
a
last.
requirement. You give them an option, they're not gonna do it, no matter what, whether they're sick or not.
And one of my concerns is half of the people that have had COVID don't even know they have it. They don't have symptoms.
And I never ran fever when I had COVID.
So
I didn't either.
I mean, I don't understand that, how the check-in station, I mean, I understand, taking their temperature, but you're saying not to wear the mask, but if they come in and say, oh, I don't have fever, I haven't been around anybody, how do they know they weren't around someone 5 minutes ago?
Well, this is the first line defense anyway.
And all we can do is the best we can. That's what we have.
Mr. Prestia, do you have a Prestia view into?
Has anybody looked at what the CDC is still recommending or not recommending?
Mr. Willow?
Standard 6 feet, wash your hands. You know, just,
No change.
no change, it's always been that.
At the end of the day, it really comes down to us as a county or y'all gentlemen, have you done everything you can to protect your employees? If this was your business, how would you proceed in regards to safety? It kind of boils down to that, so where you wanna make the balance, it's just up to y'all.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver?
I just want to make sure that everyone's reiterated, there is no 100% guarantee of isolation and you're not going to get it. Never will be. You know, coronavirus has been around since the dawn of time. It's a fact. It's just a matter, it's a matter of if and when, but we still just need to do what is common sense, like Mr. Willow reiterated the CDC, wash your hands, you know, things like that. Just the basic common sense of procedures, but, you know, to understand that the court and the county cannot 100% guarantee anything. That would be wrong to sit there and think so.
Right. Thank you, sir. Anything else? Gentlemen, I appreciate y'all's candor. I know this topic discussion is one of those ones that, is not simple or routine. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-2. So the policy will change, customers, constituents, citizens, may access all county facilities with or without a mask, although it's highly encouraged.
Not encouraged, recommend.
Great, thank you, gentlemen. With respect to masks for our employees, the current policy is what it is. Do we want to have a discussion any further discussion on that, or any motions with respect to that component? Just to reiterate, county employees are required to wear masks, basically when they're in an office, unless they're in their own private office with nobody else around.
This is pretty much what I'm hearing from a lot of the businesses. Their employees are gonna continue to wear the mask even if the public doesn't.
I know we are.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
like Walmart said, they're gonna do another 30 days of employees and then reevaluate after that.
No action? No motions? I'll wait another second. All right, are there any other issues that need to be addressed with respect to this particular agenda item? Anything that we've missed or?
Effective date,
Oh, excellent. Effective,
Thursday. The governor's mandate goes into effect Wednesday. We'll make this 8 o'clock Thursday morning.
that, you'll amend your motion and
Yes.
you'll amend your second. And, we'll, all that voted in that.
So the
I don't think we have to
motion
revote. We've already voted.
It goes into effect, Thursday morning at 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Right, but the motion that we have on.
Oh, we don't have one on fire.
not for employees.
No, this is the one that we passed on.
I think the best way for us to do that, to make sure that our record is clear, is with respect to the previous motion, as it relates to members of the public accessing county facilities. We failed to include an effective date. It was my oversight. And so I'd entertain at this time a supplemental motion to set that effective date.
The effective date supplemental motion recommended to be 8 a.m. Thursday morning.
Thank you, sir. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thursday morning, 8 a.m., this policy change will go into effect. No further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
One. Motion passes 4-1. Thank you all, gentlemen. Thank you for your consideration on behalf of all of our constituents. Thank you all for bringing issues and having a discussion that nobody's super comfortable with, especially in an open forum. So thank you guys for that. Anything further on agenda item number 22? Feel like I ought to be doing a. Moving on by moving back, with respect to agenda item number 21, extending part-time employment of COVID-19 screener staff after March 31, 2021. We took action under agenda item number 22 that resolved that agenda item, and so I am going to pass it as a matter of course. Moving on to agenda item number 23, update, discussion, and possible action regarding B County COVID-19 status, preparedness, and contingency planning. This one, obviously, we're not going to reopen what we've already been discussing, but there still is new news that we'd like to share with you. I'm sure, Mr. Willow, if you have anything you'd like to share, I'd give you the floor first. They've heard me talk a lot.
We have been, B County, and I addressed this last Commissioner's Court, are falling short as far as getting the vaccination to the elderly in B County. A lot of people are saying that we need to reach out more. A lot of the elderly cannot use the computer, they don't understand the phone. So what we have done upstairs, we're going to reach out, and we have been reaching out to the elderly and asking the family and friends to call the hotline, and I got the number over here, to, if you have a relative that doesn't have a computer, and if we have to set up an appointment time for them, we will do that for them. I have access to the program, I can give them an appointment if they're unable to do so themselves. So we're working with the elderly to try to get, so far I think we have 3 or 4 takers since we started. So, but if you have anyone that you know that doesn't know how to use a computer or that needs assistance for making an appointment, it's 361-492-5981. We have people there accepting phone calls, and we're targeting Beeville residents, but we're not turning anyone away. Okay, by law, we have to do that, but really want to get the B County residents in there. And then our next step will be going to the different communities. And I sent emails to the different commissioners to see if they can assist me on that. So.
Thank you, Mr. Willow. And I'd like to, again, reiterate, B County is blessed to have 2 vaccination hubs, in addition to all the other vaccinators that are approved and are bringing in vaccines to some degree in our county. Thank you all to the employees, the companies, the volunteers, to the state of Texas, to the governor, for keeping that flow of vaccines coming to B County. I'll say this as well. We are vaccinating a lot of people in B County. We have a fire hose and it's wide open here. And what we want to do is make sure more folks in B County are getting hit with that fire hose, but it's proving to be a challenge, mostly due to technological considerations and just the fact that we're rural, and most of us live out in the country, and it's just a little bit different than it is for the folks who are in larger urban environments. So it's very important that if anybody is listening today, or anybody in our audience today knows of individuals who haven't gotten the vaccine, who should get the vaccine. This goes for teachers, everybody. We're at AC, right, or 1C. We're at a next stage down. The group is opened up even wider, and we've got these great fire hoses that are open. For whatever reason, I like that analogy. And I'd like to commend our emergency manager, Mr. Garza, and Mr. Willow, our COVID response coordinator. Guy.
Preparation
Thank you, Mrs. Warnick.
Still man.
For it helping to make sure that Christus Spawn and KCOST continue to have these fire hoses open. The last thing that B County wants is to impact through a lessening of the vaccine that we get by trying to control in a manner that violates the black and white rules of distribution that are going to our hubs statewide from the state with respect to how they set up, how they distribute, how they verify, and how they administer the vaccine. Those rules, including for our hubs and for all hubs around the state, are not made up out of thin air by the hubs. They are promulgated and pushed down from the state level. And our hubs are doing everything right, and they're doing everything that they can to continue to bring in vaccines. Since we started, B County has vaccinated over 30,000 people. And I don't know if is that 15,000, 30,000 shots, or is that 30,000 unique people?
30,000 shots.
30,000 shots, 15,000 or 35,000. And every week we're adding an additional 5,000 shots, about 2,500 people. It is awesome, and it's amazing what B County has done, and we've been able to do it from the support of the Texas Department of State Health Services, the Texas Department of Emergency Manager, and our governor, Greg Abbott. And I want y'all to know, and the public and anybody that's watching there, that as far as B County is concerned, we like everything that is happening. We are so fortunate to be a part of this process, and we're going to do everything that we can. And our partners, both at the Sheriff's Office, the volunteer fire departments, not just Beeville, but all of our volunteer fire departments, our hospital, KCOST, individual volunteers, the Beeville Police Department, Road and Bridge, the City Road crew, countless people, my sister, bunches of family members are out doing everything we can to keep that flow open. So with respect to B County, if the state of Texas is listening, we love what you're doing. Please keep it up. Help us, help you, help everybody in the state of Texas, and as far as this virus reaches, to move past the point where we're reacting to the virus and to the point where we're talking about how bad it was in the past. So thank you all. Is there anything else with respect to COVID preparedness or anything anybody would like to share? Okay, great. We don't have any action on that then, and we'll move on forward to agenda item number 21, report and possible action on recent IT issues impacting county operations. At this time, B County Commissioners Court is going to go into executive session. Oh, 24, what did I say?
21.
My apologies, thank you. Let me just restart. Agenda item number 24, report and possible action on recent IT issues impacting county operations. At this time, B County Commissioners Court is going to go into closed executive session. Public notice is given, and B County Commissioners Court may elect to go into executive session anytime during the meeting to discuss matters listed on the agenda pursuant to the authority granted under the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Immediately before any executive session, the specific section or sections of the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, that provide statutory authority will be announced. Upon completion of the executive session, the Commissioners Court may, in open session, take such action as appropriate on items discussed in an executive session. We are proceeding under Section 551.089, deliberation regarding security devices or security audits. Thank you all very much, and if I could ask everybody to please leave the courtroom, we will cut off. If you've been online, you're welcome to hang around. We'll come back at some point in time. I don't know how that is, but we're not going to be live anymore.
I need to get the recording.
Ma'am?
I need to get the recording.
Yes, ma'am. The time is 10:52 a.m.
Do you want me to stay, or?